Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Be Singular webinar series. Be Singular is a unique learning platform that empowers the next generation to create a real and responsible impact in the world by working with technologies of the future. It's a future skills academy for kids, promoted by the BEST Group. Be Singular is driven by a massively transformative purpose: to transform the education space to impact the learning possibilities for next generation students. It operates through Be Singular Exponential Leaders Club, which is only for community of students who are big dreamers, have forward-looking approach, process the belief of solving global great challenges, and help make a positive impact. Be Singular also offers online courses in various domains that are structured, and our courses in programming, game design, embedded systems help to hone your creativity, support to build new skill sets, develop awesome projects, and have fun with friends remotely. Welcome to Be Singular Social, a non-profit entity that has been launched by Be Singular in collaboration with The Banyan, a leading early child daycare center chain. Our objective is to invest our resources to help foster exceptional educational experiences and learnings for families. I welcome you all once again to today's session, which is being hosted by Vineet Tandon. The topic of the webinar is Staying Hopeful During Social Distancing. Our facilitator for today, Mr. Vineet Tandon, is India's perhaps first and only musical motivational speaker. He regularly advises corporates, working professionals, startups, teachers, and students on finding hope and discovering the deeper meaning of success. He is the curator of podcast, The Chords of Life, where he shares his perspective on how to lead a positive life. The takeaways from today's webinar will be on managing uncertainty, managing this newly found kind of a lifestyle on living in lockdown, managing information, response and attitude, recommended strategies, and few resources. I welcome you all once again and hand over to Vineet now for beginning the session, Staying Hopeful During Social Distancing.
Hi everyone. Thank you Shweta and Be Singular team for the nice introduction, and good to have all of you today here. These are indeed tough times, and I'm sure I'm audible to everyone, right? Uh, so I'm a musical motivational speaker, and I use music as a part of my sessions to make the experience different. And my experience itself, say, over the years, tell me that music is a great healer, and therefore, that will be my experience. And uh, over the course of this session for next 45 to 50 minutes. All right. To make the most of this session, I suggest that you use a microphone so that your listening experience is enhanced. There are no slides that I'll be sharing. It will be essentially a talk which will happen along with a few songs that will also happen. If I were to ask you one simple question, that the current phase of life that we are into right now, COVID-19 and Corona outbreak, lockdown, everything happening, which is that one song that you can relate to at this point in time? There are many songs in Bollywood which are about life and the situation of life, but is there any one particular song that comes to your mind? The one which is very close to me, and which I'll be using as a part of starting today's session, is Zindagi Ka Safar Hai Ek Aisa Safar. So in fact, even I am being locked down in my hometown as a part of all this what is happening around, and I did not have my guitar, so I managed to get a baby guitar. It doesn't sound that bad. I have tested it, and I just did a session earlier today, so hopefully you will like what I play. And so this song is Zindagi Ka Safar Hai Ek Aisa Safar, and then we'll build on the talk as we go along. है ये कैसा सफर, कोई समझा नहीं, कोई जाना नहीं, जिंदगी का सफर है ये कैसा सफर, कोई समझा नहीं, कोई जाना नहीं, है ये कैसी खबर, चलते हैं हम, कोई समझा नहीं, कोई जाना नहीं, जिंदगी का सफर है ये कैसा सफर, कोई समझा नहीं, कोई जाना नहीं. So this is a very old song by Kishore Kumar ji, and this aptly relates to the scenario that we are into as at this point in time with Corona outbreak. There are many other songs which are about life and which probably you can relate to at this point in time. Another one which I'll just take a small one-line introduction of that. I'm sure you also know this song as well. जो है समा कल हो न हो. Well, kal definitely hoga. Tomorrow will be there. It will be a better one. But yes, how do we manage this transition? How do we manage what we are going through? How do we manage the times that we are into? And one of my one of the messages that came on my website a couple of days back, I think a week or 10 days back, it was somebody who was really uh, amidst huge fear. At least that is what I could make out from his message. Will we see the Happy New Year of 2021? Well, I told him, I reverted to him on email. I did not have his contact number, so I reverted to him on email saying that yes, of course we will have. Yes, it is a tough phase. That's what we are going through, almost all of us. But yes, there is going to be a better day around. Things are going to be better. And of course, there are more than enough reasons to believe so. Yes, the current statistics may not look like that, and I may sound like, giving a preachery kind of an advice, but that's not really so. There is going to be hope. There is going to be a better turnaround of the situation that we are in. Now imagine that if I were to give you a scenario that the the medicine for COVID-19 has been discovered. Just as we talk today, right now, imagine I were to announce this that medicine for COVID-19 is found. What would be your response? You will essentially have three kind of responses. Maybe you are a believer and you will trust me for what I say and feel that good, the worst is over now, soon the world will be all right. The second scenario is that probably you will take it with a pinch of salt, go to internet to find out whether this information is true or not, which most of us do, to find out whether this is fake news or whether this is reality. And third is that you might totally believe that this guy is jerk. Let's ignore what he's saying, right? At the beginning of it, I said, imagine. As of now, there is no medicine. The only medicine that we can have right now, for the time being, till things move towards the better part of it, is hope. And why so? Because that is what is going to help us navigate our journey, which may continue for 15 days, 20 days, 25 days. We don't know, right? So we are all going through unprecedented times. Fear, lockdown, social distancing, they have become the norm of our life. And that is what is unsettling us more than anything else. A lot of us has multiple questions to ask. When will all this get over? When will I go back to work? When will school start When will teachers go to schools? When will kids start going back to schools again? So all I think is there is somebody sending me a question. No, no, not more questions. Yeah. So we all have hundreds of questions that are in our mind, which are unsettling us at this point in time, and therefore the reason of our worry. Do I have all these answers, and therefore I'm talking to you? I would be foolish to say that, and I'm sure you are smart enough to understand that as of now, neither America nor India, anybody has answers of what is going to happen next. But what we can control as of now is how do we navigate these times to emerge better. Uh, Again, for a moment, imagine your life post a month back. Sorry, before a month back. How was it? Kids were preparing for their board exams. Some were preparing for their NEET or IIT, JEE or whatever. Businesses were talking about their financial closure, the financial year closing, especially in India. March 31st is closing. People were chasing their year-end targets in terms of people with sales profile. So everybody's life was normal. Suddenly, the normal has been thrown out of the window, and we are all confined to our homes, trying to find and adjust to the new normal, which is not yet arrived. But how will it arrive? How will it shape up? Those are the questions that we are trying to find out. Now, at an individual level, if I were to ask you what is it that we are made of course I'm not asking a biological answer, but if there are certain common pieces, then there is we are made up of mind, body, and the third element could be soul. For the purpose of our discussion, let's keep the soul aside. Not that it is not important, but just for the purpose of simplicity, if I were to ask you that let us plot mind and body on x and y axis during the COVID times, COVID-19 times, how would your life would be? So maybe if you are at home, confined at home, and maybe you are eating too much, then maybe your waist size will increase from 32 to 36 or 38 or whatever, right? So your physical body will, net, what I'm trying to say is that your physical body will not change, significantly. Maybe you will gain weight, you know, that's all I can foresee, right? But otherwise, if assuming that you are in normal health, your physical body is more or less sorted. It's just that you will feel more lethargy because you don't have much work to do, or because you are confined to home, you cannot go to gym, so on and so forth. Your physical life is a bit more confined, but your physical body is more or less sorted. There's not much disturbance unless there is a medical ailment out there. Now let's look at mind. It is the mind where all the turbulence is. Every piece of information that we are consuming is making us more and more sick. Yesterday it was 1200, today it is 1600. Oh God, India is hitting following the path which other countries followed. We are in stage 3, so on and so forth. So it is the mental thing which is, so if we were to plot body and mind on X and Y axis, body is more or less sorted. It is the mind which will look like, a sinusoidal wave, ups and downs, ups and downs. Sometimes we are feeling that, okay, everything will be all right. And sometimes you're feeling, oh my God, the world is, closer to an end. So if mind is where every piece of information or mess is being created, I think we need to understand and learn how to navigate mind. And it is this part which I'm going to cover in the rest of my talk. So if everything is happening in mind, I think we need to understand that how are we dealing with our emotions? Emotions essentially arise in our mind, and therefore we need to understand and handle them better. How many of you are aware of Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Maslow was an American psychologist, and he propounded a motivational theory long back, which is all about that, that human beings have 5 different kinds of needs. There are physiological needs, there are safety needs, there are social needs, there are emotional needs, and then there are needs of self-actualization. In the times that we are currently into, even physical needs can be challenging. Forget about self-actualization. So when we are living in that constant mode of fight and flight, when we are living in that constant environment of perceived threat, it is bound to be natural. It is natural to be rather, get unsettled. Now the question is how and what is it that we do to come out of it? Because we don't have answers, but we still need to find something to cling on to, something to hold back to, so that we emerge probably stronger and maybe more resilient as we go along and navigate this phase and get ready for what lies ahead. So in the next part, I'm going to talk about a couple of strategies which probably can help you. Maybe you are already following those, maybe you are not. But in case you are not, some of these will definitely be of help. The first thing is, the first thing that I want to tell you is follow a routine. Now, this may sound like a very cliched piece of advice, but trust me, if you don't follow a routine, your problems will be more than you follow a routine, even if it is tough. So, for example, if you are were working in a company, you would get up at a particular point in time, you would, get ready and leave for your office. Now, because there is no time in terms of, maybe there is a restriction on that you need to log in online in a work from home scenario, you need to log in online at 9 o'clock, but maybe you are getting up only at 8:45. Maybe that's a scenario. So in this case, your entire routine of lifetime of your daily life has been compromised. My suggestion and advice to all of you is follow a routine irrespective of the fact. Just get ready, dress up and sign up for your office in case you're working out of home. If you are a teacher, maybe get up, get ready and be online to deliver your classes, prepare lectures or whatever. If you are a student, get up, get ready and be ready to attend your classes online. If there are not online classes, then go to courses online which you can study. Now, this may again, as I mentioned, sound very simplistic that what is the use of a routine when we anyways are confined home. The point is routine help us navigate. It help us bucketize our number of hours that are available on a given day and help us to maybe not 100% productivity, but maybe 60% or 70%. So at least that 30% of your time that you're left with will be the time for panic and for the reactions that we want to avoid at this point in time. So following a routine is a critical and an important thing that we all must do. Dress up, get ready, sit on your computer, laptop or whatever, and start your work. If let's say you are a businessman whose shop is closed, cannot go to work, then start planning for your next quarter, start planning for your next 6 months or 1 year, or maybe start thinking of a business that you had already been planning for a couple of years but have not been able to give enough time because your current business does not give you time. We don't know how long things will be like this, and therefore what we can certainly do is to make the most of what is available to us. Get ready, get follow a routine and show up every day as you would do on a regular day. The only restriction is you don't go physically out of your home because of the restrictions around. So the first strategy was follow a routine. The second strategy that I would suggest is stay mindful and be observant. I'm sure some of you would have seen a pendulum clock, right? So a pendulum moves from left to right, and then there is a center. That is the story of our mind. It oscillates between past, center is the present, and future. We don't want to imagine the future because we have a very hopeless outlook as of now at this point in time. But trust me, if you don't want to look at your future, look at your past. Maybe things were good. Imagine a future which is going to be good, but focus on here and now. Now you might say that, hey, we need here and now is not good. So many people are dying. So many people are, ending their lives. Somebody is suiciding. Panic is all over the media. But my point to you is, be thankful to God that you are so blessed. Not for the panic that is already there, but you are attending this webinar. that you are fortunate enough to get your salary at the end of the month, that you are fortunate enough that you have work at hand, that you are fortunate enough to that you are eating 3 square meals a day or 4 square meals a day. We all have seen those images on social media where people are traveling 1,000 kilometers on their feet, right? So there is enough to feel thankful and grateful in our life if we just identify what is around. Of course, it is bad, no doubt. That's why we are having this webinar. It is bad. But the point is, by continuously being streamed about that it is bad, feeling sad about it, feeling demotivated about it, it's not going to help. Probably you still need to, prepare food for your son or daughter. Probably you still need to take care of your parents, right? So the fact is we need to show up. The fact is we need to be ready and upbeat about whatever the scenario is. And I'll tell you how it happens. But focus on here and now. Today is very uncertain. I understand. Nobody wants to live in uncertainty. And that's the reason for our anxieties. That's the reason for our problems that we are facing today. But there is enough to feel grateful for as well. And that is why I'm saying focus on here and now. So while the first strategy was follow routine, second strategy I suggest is follow a practice of mindfulness and observation. Here and now, what is it that I can do to, let's say, contain the spread of disease to myself and my family? If all of us just take care of ourselves and our family, probably at a community level, this itself will take care of the entire nation and maybe to the other countries. The fact is so many people are ignorant. The fact is that so many people just take it casually that, hey, this is not going to happen to me and move out, is causing the spread, right? So the second strategy was stay mindful and be observant. Now the third strategy is something which I call as MIRA, or it's basically an acronym, and which means about managing information, response, and attitude. Let me ask you a question. While most of you are on mute, but we can discuss this once we enable the questions and answers. But if we were to give our blood samples today, what will it reveal? Of course, not corona. But what will our blood samples give? Our blood is normally made of some proteins, cells, amino acids, certain lipids, and certain, erythrocytes, and so on and so forth. But if we were to take our blood sample, there would be a new substance, which I call it as newsocide. Newsocide is a kind of a molecule that gets created when we consume news for more than 10 hours in a day. Never ever in my life I have consumed news for more than the time that I am consuming today. The TV gets switched on at maybe 7 o'clock in the morning, and it gets it runs for the entire day. Hey, 40 more cases in Andhra Pradesh, 70 more cases in Delhi, and that this happening, that happening. We are consuming panic every minute, every second. Now, is this good? Certainly not. Of course, it is important to be updated. Of course, it's important to read the advisories. Of course, it is important to be on social media and stay connected with friends and families. But so much consumption of news is not helping us. Set up a limitation around. That's why I said MIRA. Manage your information, response, and attitude. Take control of what information you are consuming and why. Why do we have to watch 24 hours news channels? Of course, they are doing their job of updating people. I'm not saying it is bad. But the fact is, somewhere it is hitting my psychology and making me negative. So manage what information you are consuming and why you are consuming. It is important to get updated. It is important to get information. It is important to follow the directions and follow new protocols which are being announced every now and then. But that can be done once or twice a day. So maybe half an hour in the morning and half an hour in the evening is good enough. Right? Same way it goes on social media. Be there just to have fun, stay connected with your friends and families, but spending your entire day means it's not going to help you any which ways. So it's important to manage that information. And once you're able to manage it, then you can manage your response to it and your attitude to it. But You can do that only when you're observant of what you are consuming. Right now, we are doing that so much unconsciously that we don't even realize what we are consuming. And somewhere in our subconditioning, that is something that I'm going to cover in my point five. Somewhere in our subconditioning of mind, subconscious layer of our mind, Corona is the biggest piece of mental threat that we are living with. That's the fear, uncertainty, unnecessary. It is out there. It is true. It is out there. It is going to be, it's really bad. But I think we need to take control of managing our information and therefore our response and therefore our attitude for managing it. I'll move to the fourth strategy now, which is again a very important one, and I call it as a 70, 20, and 10 lifestyle. Follow a 70, 20, and 10 lifestyle. Now, what does that mean? This simply means that uh, 70 applies to your diet, which means, let's say if you were consuming earlier 3 chapatis at one point in time in one meal, start taking 70% of it. That is, start taking only 2 chapatis. Or if you follow, if you have certain health apps on your mobile phone or your tablet, you know the calorie count. Just do a 70% calculation of the calorie count and just take that much. Now, this has threefold advantages. Number one, you will not be consuming excess because currently our mobility is restricted. If we are not doing a lot of physical activity and we continue to eat one meal after the other, we are going to put on weight, which may impact you once life returns to normal. So move to a 70% diet from whatever your diet is. Now, 70% on diet is important. There are other reasons for it as well. Second, maybe things get worse. Probably supplies of food items get restricted. So if you consume less, you can use that remaining portion for longer duration of time. So it helps you conserve and plan your resources as well. And the third advantage is it is also contributing to the to the entire supply chain, which is already impacted. A lot of people were doing panic buying because of the stress and the triggers that were coming from news and media, and they have hoarded more than enough information that they will probably consume in 2 months and 3 months time. What about the poor people who do not have that money to hoard for 6 months? So by consuming less, at least for this period of time, you will not only become more leaner, more fitter, but you'll also be contribute to that portion of the society which often gets neglected, right? So move to a 70% lifestyle in terms of diet. Now the 20% is at least 20 minutes of the day. Follow something that you really love. Maybe you like music, play harmonium, play guitar. So I am in my hometown where I did not find a guitar. I was not carrying my guitar, so I managed to get a baby guitar from my friend's son, and I'm using that. It doesn't sound like a professional guitar, but it does work. So spend at least 20 minutes of time for something that you really love. Maybe it's reading newspaper, reading books, reading websites. Binge watching is will not happen of means you can do that through the rest part of the day, but you can't do that in 20 minutes. So do something 20 minutes which is going to help you a lot because you are really close to that thing. So that is the 20-minute thing. Now the third thing is 10 minutes. 10 minutes of the day by rule, whether you have done it in the past or not, do something which is all about reading something positive, listening something positive. A lot of people are not into book reading, so they will not do it at this point in time. But there are ebooks available, there are audiobooks available in case you want to listen to them. So spend at least 10 minutes. You can increase these 10 minutes to 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, depending upon your workload and depending upon the type of lifestyle that you have. But it is important that you follow a minimum routine of 10 minutes a day about reading something positive, listening something positive, and this positive could be anything. You could go and listen to motivational speakers, you could go and listen to spiritual speakers, you could listen to songs that inspire you, you could listen to videos that inspire you, anything which has a positive impact on your life. So the key word here is something which is positive. It has to be positive, whether it's a book or an audio visual or something, that I leave it to you. So for the 70-30-10 lifestyle, sorry, for a 70-20-10 lifestyle, and that is going to have a big impact as we navigate through this, time right now. Now, the last strategy that I want to share with you is something called guided meditation or guided visualization. I'll not use the word meditation because a lot of people are very skeptical about, how to sit, which posture to take. So I'm giving you an activity called guided visualization. And this is something that we will do on this call right now. So all of you who are signed in here, uh, you are listening my instructions, you have to follow these 5 to 7 minute activity. I'm doing it in short because we don't have much time at hand. Actually a 30-minute activity, but if you practice this for next 10 days or 20 days or maybe throughout your life, this will have a great, you know bring a great change in your lifestyle over a period of time. I have done this, and therefore I'm sharing with my experience. So I'm going to play a small, piece of music. I'm not strumming my guitar because I'm going to do this activity along with you. Close your eyes as we and continue to listen to me and the instructions that I share now. Right? I'm going to play a piece of music, and you just follow the instructions along with it. Close your eyes and take a deep breath wherever you are sitting. I hope you can listen to the music. Close your eyes wherever you are sitting, right? And take a deep breath and attentively listen to what I am going to speak. All right? The first thing that we are going to do is because this is a guided visualization exercise, there will be certain conditions and statements that I will share. You have to just follow them by closing your eyes and imagining those scenarios, right? The first scenario is, when was the last time you have really laughed your heart out? I'll repeat this in Hindi as well. ऐसा आखिरी बार कब हुआ था जब आप दिल खोल के हंसे थे? When was the last time? Think about it. You have already closed your eyes. Think about it. When was the last time that you have heart, laughed your heart out? What was that intense feeling of laughter, that it was just uncontrollable? Maybe it was a joke that you read. Maybe it was a TikTok video that left you completely hilarious. Maybe it was something embarrassing that you did in public. Think about it. Think about it for a moment. What happened at that point in time that you really laughed out? You just went, you couldn't stop laughing. Maybe it was 6 months back, 2 months back, 1 year back. Just try to imagine that. Now, as you imagine this, try to go to the source of why this happened to you. Now, we'll move to another scenario, but before doing that, continue to close your eyes and park this scenario in your mind somewhere, that yes, this was my most happy moment. Just park it somewhere in your mind, and we'll come back to it towards the end of the activity. Now, let's move to uh, you know, uh, another visualization, which is, continue to close your eyes. Now, let's imagine, when was the last time when you actually cried, really sobbed? Some of us are very, very strong looking, and we don't want to show up our emotions. Maybe we cry internally, but we don't let our, tears roll down our eyes. When was the last time this happened to you? Maybe tears roll down your eyes or not, that's incidental. But when you were terribly upset, maybe something so wrong happened that you just lost it. Maybe somebody cheated on you. Maybe somebody close in your life left you. Just imagine that scenario and and hold on to that thought for a second, few seconds, and then park it just like you have parked your thought of happiness. Just park it somewhere in your mind as we move to the third scenario, right? Now let's imagine third scenario again by visualizing. Close you continue to close your eyes. Now let's imagine the world that we are in right now. What is happening? There is so much of uncertainty around. When will COVID-19 go? When will the vaccine be discovered? When will our life get back to normal? When will our offices reopen? When will my shop be reopened? Will I complete my course? Will I get my salary? Will the economic recession kill more people than Corona is actually doing? Now imagine all these scenarios which are constantly going on in your mind. What will happen to my family? What will happen to the loan that I have taken? I am a startup. I don't know where is my cash flow going to come from. I will have to lay off employees. All those thoughts that are haunting you now, day in and day out, right? Now pause for a moment and park these thoughts somewhere in your mind as well. Now slowly open your eyes. And as we continue to talk, or rather you continue to listen, now just imagine these three scenarios are parked in different floors of your mind. There is one floor which is about happiness. There is one floor which is about sadness. There is one floor, or rather, there are multiple floors in your mind which are about Corona right now. There are other floors of, sadness, envy, jealousy, insecurities. Those are other, small rooms lying here and there in your mind as well. But the biggest occupancy that you have in your mind right now is of the insecurities that are there because of Corona. When will it all change? We don't know. And that is the biggest thing that is troubling us right now, right? So what do? We are at home, but we are not at home with ourselves. We always wanted a vacation, but when we have got more than enough number of days, we want freedom. We want to go out. We always wanted work from home. When we got it, we don't know when the work from home will go away, right? So how do we come out of it? So as I mentioned in the beginning of my talk, if you plot mind and body on X and Y axis, the turbulence that is happening in our mind, body is more or less sorted. It's not that you were earlier 50 kgs and by the time lockdown will be over, you'll be 150 kgs, right? Whatever changes at the body level will be very incremental. But what will change substantially is if you follow these 4 or 5 practices, which is follow a routine, be mindful and be observant to the situation right now. Manage your information resources, manage your information response and attitude to it. Follow a 70-20-10 lifestyle and practice guided visualization, which means आपके the corona room in your which is occupying multiple floors in your brain right now. You have to shrink it. Consume less of corona information. Get more of positive information. Follow a practice. There are people who follow Buddhism. They practice, mantras like, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. There are people who follow Om Namah Shivaya mantra. There are people who follow Ramayana mantra. There are people who follow, across religions. People follow Bible. People follow, Quran. So whatever be your faith, I am not a faith practitioner that I can recommend you something which is very specific to a religion, but follow something that you believe in. Follow something that you care about. Follow something that you always go back to when you are in trouble. And this is what guided visualization is all about. Expand the moments of happiness that are there in your mind. Why don't you imagine that tomorrow will be a great, tomorrow the world will be a great, beautiful world? Why don't we imagine that tomorrow I'll go out to world tour as soon as things of Corona get settled? Maybe airlines will offer discounted prices because of the churn that the airlines and hotel industry have gone through. The idea is, as famous Sufi poet Maulana Rumi has said, what you seek is actually seeking you. There is hope all around if you are able to look up to it. There is positivity and possibility all around if you just pay enough attention to it. A lot of times, yesterday my son was saying that, Dad, a lot of motivational quotes and everything are from, people who like, Kennedy, Rumi, people who have lived long, long back, maybe, 50 years, 100 years. So and I told him that, you know, maybe this is the time for us to create stories of inspiration that can be, left to the world when we are gone. It is our time to demonstrate heroism. It is our time to demonstrate solidarity that when 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, when the chapter of Corona gets introduced in the books, in the textbooks of students, that this was one of the biggest pandemics the world has seen, you can, you can smile to your grandchildren or, your children or, whosoever your family is and tell them that, hey, I was there at that point in time, and this is how I navigated my lifetime. This is how I navigated the crisis. I think this is our time to be heroes. This is our time to be on top of the world and lead the crisis by actually leading it, by not just following what somebody else said. I think with this, I would like to close and we will open it up for questions and answers.